Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson has reemerged, and I am going to continue to follow this story. And Tucker Carlson recently made an announcement on Twitter, his second video, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitter. And I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show. And this is what he had to say specifically, and I just want to keep y'all in the loop, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind.
This is what we call a white lie. All right. This is what we call a white lie. I remember one time I was playing poker in one of the local spots out here where I live at. And the guy said, man, because I had wound up going all in. And it was a really light game. It was probably close to 10 years ago. Right. And I went all in, and the pot was something like, I don't know, $400, $450 or whatever like that. And it was a 1-2 game. And so max you can buy in was $200 for those of you that understand poker. And he said, man, I think you got me. And he asked me a question, and he said, listen, I think you got such and such. I think you got me. He asked two questions in one. Two questions in one. And he said, you got it? I said, yeah, I got it. I got it. And he said, I don't believe you. And he called me. And I got him, but I didn't have the actual hand that he had stated. And he got pissed. He got so mad. And he said, I thought you said that you had this. What he had was better than the hand that he thought that I had. But the question that I was answering is if I got him, not if I got the hand that he had stated that I had. You're missing what I'm saying. It was two hands that can beat him. Oh, I'm sorry. It was one hand that can beat him, but two hands that was better than what it is that he thought that I had. And so he asked me a question, and I answered his question. I said, yeah, I got it. But the question that he thought that I was answering was much different than what he asked me. And so what it's called is a white lie. You're telling the truth, but you're not telling it completely, and that you're giving the full context to give people understanding as to what it is that you're doing. And so as a result, he got pissed. I won the pot, and then I never heard from him or seen from him again. And this is largely what you see happening in the news today, right? And so they'll paint the picture and they'll say, listen, crime in Chicago is out of control. And then they won't add any additional context to it, right? And they won't say that crime in Chicago is out of control on the South Side and that murders are up. Or you go into a city and they'll say violent crime is down. But then they won't add the rest of the context and say, but crime in total is up. So maybe what they considered or categorized as violent crime, murders, kidnappings, may be down slightly, and it can only be down 1 percentage point. But it's enough for them to be able to state it and say that it's down, but then crime overall could be up. And then there's agendas attached to it. Maybe they want to defund the police. Maybe they want to divert funding from this over into this. Maybe it helps their campaign for them to be able to continue to get elected. And so what happens is the context is missing in order for them to continue to give you the full picture of the story, but you just take it at its face value and think that it's enough.
Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not.
And so he's giving you the basics of how news works. And more importantly, I'll give you another thing. Across social media, in a general sense, people are basically doing the same thing, and that they're giving you enough for you to be able to tune in, but not enough to actually inform you. They're misleading you, similar to what Tucker Carlson is saying. And I think that in a way, he's referring to all news media outlets, but he's also throwing a shot at Fox, who he's recently been released from.
I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess, it's guaranteed.
Basically, he's saying that there is no real freedom of speech or freedom of press when it comes to you expressing exactly what you think that the people need to hear, or flat out the truth. There is no real truth that's being communicated to the general public. And so what he's communicating to you is that, in a way, and what I'm taking from this is he's saying, listen, I no longer want to be immersed in this form of what journalism is or what news reporting is. I am now divesting myself as a result of it, because the news isn't what you think it is, and nobody can truly tell you the truth. They're telling you their truth.
Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter.
So, let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen, as you see this, right? As I break down for you and I help you to understand how everything comes back to the money. Let me say it again. Everything comes back down to the money. I broke down to you what he's communicating as far as how the news works. The white lies is being told. The lack of information or the separation from information in order to give you the original context so that you can make an informed decision as an individual. How lawyers are involved, how money is involved. And then what he's saying is that, listen, the last platform that's available for us to truly be able to rock out with free speech is Twitter. And then I see Peter Investor, for example, is in the chat. Shout out to Peter Investor. Is saying this is why Elon Musk purchased Twitter. Really? I have questions, though. And my question is, how does this come back to the money? You're missing it. You're missing everything that's being communicated right now. How does this come back to the money? This is sales 101. What you see happening right here in this video, it's not him advocating for free speech. This is him selling you on the idea that he's going to Twitter. The question that you got to ask yourself is, how big of a bag did he get as a result of being able to rock with Twitter? You missing it because you don't look at everything from a business perspective. You think that this is about Tucker Carlson. You think that this is about Fox News. You think that this is about freedom of speech. You think that this is about selling you on a narrative and galvanizing the fan base. This is about him drawing you over to a platform that he possibly, allegedly, and I can't confirm this, but I'm telling you, I'm going to stay on top of it, advocating for a platform that he now probably got a bigger bag than anybody else could have gave him to align himself with a brand called Twitter. If you think that this is about free speech, you're out of your mind. If you think this is about galvanizing a fan base, you're out of your mind. If you're not seeing one of the greatest sales pitches in American history playing out piece by piece, part by part, in order to sell you on the idea that you need to adopt the platform because it comes back to the money. Tucker Carlson, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I like Tucker Carlson because he's incredibly entertaining, is a businessman. And how do we know that he's a businessman? Because he worked for Fox News for over 30 years. So how are you going to sit here? How are you going to sit here and tell me that you are familiar with the system, you participated with the system, but you were still going to be with the system unless the system fired you? But now all of a sudden you want to galvanize the people in order to come over here to this platform and have free speech. How does that work? It doesn't. It doesn't. Am I telling you that you should watch Tucker Carlson if you are entertained by it? Absolutely. You should watch anything that you find interesting and that you're entertained by. But do not be bamboozled, ladies and gentlemen. This is not about free speech. This is not about the left or the right. This is not about galvanizing people. This ain't about Fox News. This is about being a competitor to how you can get the bag. And they understand. I think that Twitter rolled out the bag for this dude. This is a sales pitch in the purest form of what sales is. This is a masterclass. And if you go through and you look at all of the different comments on these videos, or you look at the comments on Twitter as a result of responding to it, you can tell it's a masterclass of a sales pitch, because the people are not paying attention to where the money is coming from or where the money is going. They're paying attention to his message and being galvanized by it. It's a great sales pitch. It's a phenomenal sales pitch. It's awesome. Because if you're able to sell somebody something without them understanding that that it comes back to the money, then you are amongst one of the greatest pitches or pitchers of all time.
Where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works.
And who is we? Who is we? Who is we? Because what y'all don't understand is that if you start to go back, let me help you. November 6, 2022. I'll come back to you, Tucker. I'll come back to you, Tucker. Let me help you to understand how this comes back to the money. If you go back and look at Forbes, Fortune magazine, any of this stuff, and you go through and you see what the goal was originally, right? What was the goal originally? I'll tell you what the goal is originally. Elon Musk, when he bought Twitter, was trying to figure out how it is that he can cut costs and then continue to monetize the platform to generate more revenue, okay? And one of the ways in which he did it is, well, the first thing he did was he cut costs, and he did that excellent. He did a great job. And then he started to figure out how it is that he can win back advertisers, and then he started to monetize the platform more effectively. How did he do that? He created Twitter Blue, which you now see Instagram and Facebook starting to adopt, because they weren't just handing out blue checks anymore. They were requiring businesses, organizations, and even people that were important enough to actually get the blue check and force them to pay for it in order to validate and verify themselves. And it's been a money maker. It's been absolute a money maker, so much so that Mark Zuckerberg and Instagram decided to institute it also, right? And so if you look at this headline, it says Elon Musk says, and this is November 6, 2022, back when he bought the platform, he said, Elon Musk says Twitter's monetization model. Look, I just got this pop up on my screen. I got to show you this. Literally just popped up on my screen. Where did it go? Where did it go? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. This literally just popped up in my notifications. Twitter, Tucker Carlson's TV to Twitter move could actually pay off. Literally just popped up on my timeline. To be clear, money isn't the only reason Carlson wants to be on Twitter. And if he was most interested in money, it will probably go anywhere at all in the near future. So it's likely to kick off a legal fight with Fox about the remainder of his very lucrative contract. Tucker Carlson wants to be on Twitter because he wants attention, both in general and in the run-up to the 2024 election, but he also likes his money. Fox reportedly paid him $20 million a year, but can he make anything like that on Twitter? I think he can. My gut is that Musk has already promised Carlson, let me blow this up, that he'll pay him as much or more than his Fox paycheck to come to Twitter. After all, if you've already incinerated tens of billions of dollars to buy Twitter, why not shovel a few more million into the fire, bringing the cost of the powerful host onto the platform? But let me tell you what it is, what the other finesse is, right? So if you deep dive into it, back when Elon Musk first purchased Twitter, and so y'all got to start paying attention to what's happening out here in these streets. Hold on. Oh, I can't see it. Hold on. Let me see if I can back up. Elon Musk was recruiting creators to come over into the platform, right? Let me see if I can get rid of that. All right. $8 Twitter Blue, which has already been implemented. Twitter has never really generated anything approaching a creator economy, and it does not pay its power users like Twitter and Twitch. Its earliest questions posed to the public after he took over is how much YouTube paid its creators, which is 45% of the revenue share, and he said that he can beat that. And so what he's trying to do is create an environment in which he can then capitalize and create a creator economy, and more importantly, recruit some of the biggest people to come over to the platform to do so. So when you see this pitch happening, and you see Tucker Carlson jumping up on here and saying that, listen, Twitter is the place where I want to take my platform.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say
Twitter is the place where I want to take my platform. Don't think that it's just based off of the fact that he's an advocate for free speech or he wants to be able to galvanize the base. It's not. It's always a bag involved. Let's continue.
thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter.
I see the super chat. I'm going to read it shortly. You're wrong. You're so wrong. Listen to what he just said, bro.
We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
If you don't think that this guy is a bag chaser in the biggest form, you are incredibly deceived. If you don't think that Tucker Carlson is a bag chaser and one of the greatest salesmen that we've ever seen come across TV, and which is one of the reasons why he was one of the highest rated people to watch on the internet and on regular TV, then you are incredibly deceived.